Let's make sure I got this all right. Michelle, Andrea, Jen, Lance, who's skipped out for a minute, Tammy, Corvallis, Mark, Jerem, and Andrew. Is that right? Okay. Wow, it's the first today. Welcome, everybody. My name is Noji. All right. I'd like to kick off this a little bit by talking about a little story about a mushroom. This mushroom is like one of the biggest mushrooms in the world. The Indians called it tuckahoe. Maybe it means big mushroom or something. That's a good idea. And so when the settlers came in this area, in the New Jersey area, when all these mushrooms were there, they just named that area after this mushroom. And as a matter of fact, they started a little township. Thanks, Corvallis. Mark, appreciate that. And this township was called Tuckahoe, and it's a little marine community. These guys were just really small, about 240 people, that's about it. And all they did was fish all day long and things like that. Imagine that. But this peaceful little community kind of became unpeaceful one day when Hurricane Sandy made landfall. And when it did, it started a work of destruction. It was pretty bad. This little township kind of took the brunt of all this stuff. Roads were washed out, phone lines, and so forth. And it was just not good news for that little township. Anyway, electric power was gone. No phones, and they were just cut off. There were only 3 roads in and out of this little township. Okay, so they couldn't really, get out or get in for that matter. They had a police, 240 people. Okay, they had a fire department, really small group, and their radios were working just fine, but they could only talk to each other, and they needed help because they wanted food and water, and guess what, right? There were a couple of pregnant women, there were some diabetics, and they needed insulin and such, and they could only communicate, they needed to get their communication out of the city, and they couldn't do that. Okay, so at any rate, they were in dire straits. They really needed the help. So they had a community center there in Tuckahoe, and the mayor got everybody together that he could, and he says, we need help, we need some answers. What can we do? And these 2 guys way in the back, they were saying, Mayor, Dan's always talking about ham radio and how ham radio is going to save the world, And the mayor says, look, I don't care, just do something, So these 2 guys hopped in their Jeep and they drove out of town, only about a half mile to Dan's house. It was pretty muddy and such. And sure enough, Dan was on the radio. And he was calling around and having fun, talking to people about the storm and things. And they said, look, this is what we got going. And Dan was like, I've never done anything like this before where I actually use my radio to help people, but I'll see what I can do. And so he was able to talk to a repeater up north in northern New Jersey, and they were able to dispatch him in to the National Guard. And sure enough, by the next morning, the National Guard had airlifted a pallet of supplies to this little township. And food, water, whatever they needed. I didn't know what all they needed, medicine and such. And so, yay, the crops were saved, everybody was happy, and things gradually got back to normal. It was really good. Okay, now, fast forward about 5 months, and the county commissioner had heard about what this guy had done for this township. He thought, I'm going to invite him up to the county seat and maybe award him or something, just kind of congratulate him and that sort of thing, give him a little thing. Well, just imagine what was going through the commissioner's mind when he met Dan for the first time, and Dan turned out to be a 14-year-old boy. It's like, what? Okay, and that's one of the reasons I got into ham radio, because I want to be part of the solution too. So I don't want to be part of the problem, and part of the problem means I'm not causing the problem, but I'm going to be sitting here crawling up in my shell waiting for someone to help me. Okay, I want to be a little more self-sufficient, and that's why ham radio is just one solution to many different solutions we can have. So as we say, that any disaster, communication is the first casualty. Why would we say that? I mean, who cares about communication? Because I've got my 72-hour kit, I'm all prepared, I got first aid kit, water, food, I'm doing good. Why would I need to communicate?
Maybe to find out if somebody else needs help.
Maybe I want to help someone else, okay?
What do you do after 72 hours?
After 72 hours, then what? Yeah, okay. Okay, any other reasons? Why would I want to communicate like right now? Well, maybe it's because you want to make sure your loved ones are safe. I have 2 kids that live in Eagle Mountain with their own kids and things. I want to know they're okay, all right? I just heard in the news they had a big earthquake in Eagle Mountain, and No, I'm just pretending. Not really. If I did, I want to know that they're okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I call on their cell phone and I don't hear anything at all, okay, then I want to have some other means of getting hold of these guys. Okay. And let others know of my condition. Maybe they're curious about me and the place I'm in. Okay. So in the city of Orem, they have identified that the number one most likely disaster cause is not an earthquake. Okay. They've done all kinds of studies, and they said the number one thing is a chemical spill. How would that happen? Why was that number one?
I don't know.
It's
We have a couple of
several plants, that's one reason. Another reason is because
roads, there's
Water
I-15.
contamination.
it's because of the roads that's the problem. Because I-15 goes right through us, okay? And so because of that, you got all kinds of chemicals going up and down. Sorry if I spit on you, Michelle. Up and down the road every day, okay? And these dangerous chemicals, if they happen to spill, that's our biggest, number one likely problem. More likely than an earthquake, okay? And so that's what they've prepared for a lot is chemical spill because of I-15 corridor.
There was people who were saying that they were concerned about the train that goes through Lehi too, having a spill.
Yep, that's another issue. Unfortunately, they don't carry near as many bad chemicals as the trucks do on I-15. But yes, absolutely. Okay, maybe you want some information. So is this hurricane that just came into Lehi over yet? Hurricane? Well, anyway, so anything that's going on, maybe you want to know if it's all clear. Maybe you want to know, get some peace of mind, right? And you want to be part of the solution. You want to be helpful. All right, any other reasons to communicate maybe? See, now that you have some ideas flowing in your mind, okay? So there are communication solutions that we have already, and one is our cell phone. Oh my gosh, to me, that is the number one best way to communicate because with our cell phone, we can do so much, okay? I mean, you can take pictures, you can take videos, you can take notes. With your cell phone, you have a GPS in there. I mean, you can do all kinds of crazy things as long as you have a tower that's up and ready, okay? When you have that, that's number one. To me, in my opinion, cell phone is number one, and you already know that. I'm preaching to the choir on that one, okay? It's the what if. That's what we're here for. But there are other ways to communicate too. The little bubble wrap walkie-talkie you can buy at Costco, okay? And they advertise on them 35 miles, okay? Well, they won't go 35 miles, but that's okay. And there's other things you can do too to communicate. How about email and text? Smoke signals, anybody? I used to teach that in Scouts, how to do smoke signals. And contrary to Bugs Bunny, has nothing to do with Morse code, okay? So anyway, but yeah, smoke signals is a way to communicate. You're letting everybody know that you're in trouble, okay? But how about things like AM/FM radio? Is that a communication method? Sure. I mean, you can listen to hear when the storm is past or when the terrorist attack we just had is over or whatever. Okay, things like that. I mean, it's not two-way. I mean, the last time I tried to get on the radio and I was hearing Doug Wright, I tried to talk back to him. He wouldn't hear me. He's not answering. It's like, come on, guy. I know all this hot air has to go out somewhere. All right. At any rate, so the most reliable two-way, hey Randy, welcome. Two-way communication methods we have right now are number one, cell phone, can do the most, very best when conditions are good. In other words, we have a tower and so forth, requires close proximity to a tower. Amateur radio, we call it ham radio by nickname, but that's also one of the three most reliable. And ham radio is the most, number one, reliable because it does not require infrastructure like a cell phone does. It requires a license, though, and there's a quiz at the end. But the reason it's so reliable is because, unlike a cell phone, you have complete control over the entire system. You do. You don't have to rely on someone else hosting a tower or being able to hold that infrastructure for you. You can run the whole show. Satellite phones are great, too. Those work really well, but it's good when the weather is great. If the weather is really stormy, satellites don't work very well, and you can't get through with a sat phone. You have to wait till the storm's over. It's like, well, by that time, what's the point? It is pretty expensive to have a satellite phone, and has to be line of sight with the satellite. If you get to where you just have a couple, like if you're in a canyon, like Provo Canyon, you only see, 2 or 3. You have to kind of move to where you get better satellites. So anyway, so there you go. And of course, I am here to talk about, of course, ham radio.
So, when you're in a canyon, does the ham radio do good?
It does very good. And there's ways you can use the canyon, in fact, to get your signal bouncing across to get out. So it's pretty fun to do that. In fact, Randy has done that very thing, to bounce his signal around to get out. So let's say you're stuck somewhere. I mean, have you ever been on a trip where you're just on a road trip maybe, and you're just driving with your family in different cars, and you're communicating on your walkie-talkies, okay, but all of a sudden you get separated because people are cutting in front of you, and suddenly there's 5 miles between each other, and you're no longer able to communicate with each other by your walkie-talkie anymore. It happens all the time. And then cell signal, well, you know, there's no there's no tower nearby. You're outside of the cell signal range. That gets kind of tough. With a ham radio, you could actually, if you can't reach each other, which often you can because of the higher power in ham radio, if you can't, you often can reach somebody else who is listening and say, dude, can you relay a message, you know, to either dispatch because I'm in trouble or to my friend maybe, things like that. So a ham radio can do a lot more because of the way it's working. So they can relay your situation for you. So I don't know how many of you have ever been on a steak trek, you know, like in Wyoming or in Alberta. So, okay, so we were, I'll draw this on the board again, but like, so we were over here at Martin's Cove, okay, and the kids had to go and make the big long walk over to Sage Campground. And between those two, it's about a 15-mile walk. Okay, that's what they had to do. Well, the thing is, though, that in order to coordinate, Corvallis?
Can't see.
I'm sorry. The light? Is that better? Okay, thanks. Thanks for speaking out. So there were things that we had to coordinate between the two sites, okay? And food, shelter, injuries, things like that came up. And we needed to be able to take care of things, okay? So what they had to do to solve the problems was to get on the truck, get on a dirt road, get back to the main road, back to a dirt road, back to Sage Campground again. And that's a 1.5 hour trip both ways. So by the time they drove out there, oh yeah, we got this problem, came back and said, you know, President so-and-so, they've got this problem that's going on. Okay, it's an hour and a half. He would say, okay, well, tell them to solve it this way. And drive it back again, tell them and come back. That's 3 hours of wasted time, okay? And, excuse me, I saw this happen twice. And I'm going, I can solve this problem. And so now understand that we had 15 ham radio operators who were licensed, prepared to go on this trek and use them during this thing. But they were useless, okay? They were like, we couldn't talk to each other. Things were happening. And that's because between these two was Rocky Ridge, okay? And Rocky Ridge was high enough that it prevented our signal from getting over. At first I thought we could do a little knife edging or something, but it didn't work. We couldn't talk to each other at all. In fact, we're gonna demonstrate that right here. So Andrew and Michelle are gonna use these radios here and demonstrate for us how this works. Could you pass this back to Andrew back there? So Andrew and Michelle are going to communicate with each other. So go ahead and just get on the radio. When you get on the radio, just push that big button on the side there and just say hi to each other. Say, hi Michelle, hi Andrew.
This is KG7WRT. Are you there?
Did you hear her? He's really cranking that volume up. Okay, so try talking to her. So you have to just don't use that button that you just pressed. Instead, use the big button. There you go. The big button. Did you hear him? No? You guys are seeing the same problem we had on the trek. They couldn't hear each other.
Is he on a different station right now?
I don't know. Let's find out. So what happened was when I saw what's going on here, I said, you know what? I took my truck. I took another radio, a mobile radio, and I drove it out to Rocky Ridge, and I set up a repeater there.
Did you?
I did. I had a little Costco tent that I made, a little shower tent. I had a little Costco table. Everything's from Costco. I like cheap stuff, okay? I mean, I must be, a natural man, according to Dr. whatever his name was, because I like inexpensive and easy. Okay, that's me. So I got this thing, I set it up there, and it's just like this setup, as a matter of fact. I just got on this guy here, and I just said, all right, I'm going to set him up and set his frequency going. And I said, okay, Michelle and Andrew, try it again.
Howdy.
Hi, Andrew.
Is your volume up? Try again.
Mine's up. Can you hear me now?
There it is.
So, did I touch your radio?
No.
No, nothing up my sleeve except for this microphone here. I didn't do anything to your radios at all. And yet, why are you now communicating? It's because of that repeater. So I set this thing up here, and suddenly, magically, what was taking an hour and a half per problem, okay, was now split second. So afterwards, the stake president came up, he goes, how'd you do that? Okay. So it's not magic, all right, but it does require a little bit of knowledge and so forth. And that's where ham radio came in really handy. We solved the problem that, well, we didn't have cell signals, we didn't have cell ability, so there we go. Do you want to hang on to that?
Oh, is that a bull thing?
If you like. It is.
Okay.
So, had to coordinate food and shelter assignments and so forth. There were several injuries.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Please, speak up.
I don't understand this though, because we're right by each other. There's nothing. You needed the repeater? Is it because the channel we're on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so these two guys here, even though they were on the same frequency, they couldn't communicate because of Rocky Ridge.
Okay, yeah, I understand
So
that.
I took these guys and I set them to your frequency. Andrew was already on this one, see? And so I told them to change to this one here, and they did. And this repeater now is on those two different frequencies.
Okay.
Pick yours up, repeats it on that one, and away they go. And it was like magic. And I was the hero of the day.
Yes, you were.
Well, kind of. After that, no one's ever remembered my name. So that's okay.
I think I remember your name.
Okay, well, there were issues that we had to solve, and that was the thing. We had a storm come in and blow our stuff down. Our sleeping bags and tents got wet and things, and then we had to re-coordinate a bunch of new equipment and figure out what to do and how to handle things. So we set up a repeater, and those are the two frequencies we used. So there we go. Anyway, solving problems. That's what one of the things we do. So ham radio requires a quiz, a 35-question exam, and you got to get 26 of them to get right. Ham radio does require a little getting used to. Unlike going to the cell phone store and just picking up one of these devices and boom, boom, get on and, hey, how's it going? And call someone and you're good to go. It's a little clunky. It's a little bit old school, okay? Some of the terminology, it takes a little getting used to also. Your ham radio needs to be programmed. When you get them, they're blank. It's like unusable. Watch that tripod. Every class there's one. Come on in, come on in. That tripod's right there just to trip you. Welcome.
I can sit up here.
Of course.
Better.
Yeah.
And I won't make, my machine won't pop and make so much noise.
What's your name?
Annette.
Annette? Annette? Good. Welcome, Annette.
Thank you.
I'm Noji.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Well, okay. So, you can't always get what you want, even with ham radio. It's not perfect. There's no perfect communication medium because there are limitations with location, antenna. You have to, this little antenna that Michelle is using here on her radio, usually when I get one of these little radios, I take the antenna that comes with it, I just chuck it away and put a bigger, better antenna on it. But I kept this one for this class, you see, so that we can use it here. Anyway, so sometimes it's not perfect, So one time I ordered a pizza from home. I called my phone, called Domino's, and I went down to pick it up, and they said, it won't be ready for another 10 minutes. And I thought, what am I going to do? So I thought, well, duh. So I was in my car. I turned on my radio, and I thought I'd call out for someone to talk with. So I got onto a repeater that I knew, and I called out and I just said, hey, this is KN0J. Anybody out there who wants to chit chat? Okay. And first nothing, and then all of a sudden this old cadre gets on. Hey, how you doing? We start talking and everything. And I said, where are you, by the way? He says, oh, right here in Henderson, Nevada. I'm going, Henderson, Nevada. That's pretty good, Try that with a cell phone. Anybody out there want to talk with me? It's kind of hard to do. I guess all you can do that was with dispatch, right? Don't do that with dispatch. Yeah, you don't want to do that. But you have to call a specific number when you do a cell phone, right? We have to know the number ahead of time. Well, this guy, I didn't know him from Adam. or Eve. So, but at any rate, there you go.
Well,
So-
and have you ever been, like, I've gone to the Orem Fest and
Yeah.
when we have things here, and there's so many people on their cell phones, you cannot get through to anybody. Sometimes a text will go through.
The last time I was at a BYU home game, okay, it wasn't this last week, okay, but when you get out of a football game at BYU near Cougar Stadium, you cannot call anybody. The cell phone towers are so overloaded, okay, and they're sensitive,
Yeah.
bless their hearts, but they get overloaded quite easily.
Do they? Okay.
They do. So if a lot of people get on at once, there's no hope. And if there's a disaster, guess what everybody's going to do?
Right.
Same thing, right? And they're all going to get on and no one can get through. One thing that is helpful though, if you do get into a disaster situation and you need to get something through, text them instead of call
Yeah,
them.
that's
Okay,
right.
and that tends to get through a little easier, even that's no guarantee.
Yeah.
So the types of hand radio, this is really quick, but we just saw that one was a handheld. They're very portable. And mobile is what I use over there to talk on Rocky Ridge. A little bit portable, but it's a little bigger, more expensive. Base is a permanent station. So again, not very powerful, but does work. Even a little thing like that, I can show you how to use it to make magic. Needs a better than regular antenna. Very portable. Mobile unit, just like this one here, requires an outdoor antenna. And in this case, I got an indoor antenna and stick it on here, and it works great. So.
Do you use these kind in your car?
Yep, this is a kind of an antenna. That's why they call it a mobile, so you can go in your vehicle. But I have a couple of these right on my desk, or like my wife has one on her desk in her den that she uses. So, requires a power supply. So instead of just simply a battery that's inside the little radio that Michelle has, separate, like this one's running off that battery on the side there. And it's a huge battery, but I could have brought a tiny thing, but I just grabbed something that was just there.
So
All
how
right.
many watts does it use?
This one can go up to 50. That one could go up to 50 as well. Whereas one in your hand only does 5 watts. Yeah. The permanent base station can do a whole lot more. And I need to change this photo out because that's a bad example of a really, really expensive radio. Maybe I should, a less expensive one I should put up there. But anyway, but they're just as pretty.
Well, we don't know the difference.
Still, it's like all these buttons, Because what people ask is, oh, do you have one of these? No, I don't have one. These cost $12,000, okay? The one I have only costs $800. They're going, $800? Still, it's a lot of money, but, not that bad. Okay, they are more expensive. Those require an outdoor antenna and other support gear, which we don't have to cover in here. But at any rate, so that's the idea. Now, one thing I could do, like what I did with my friend there, or with the guy in Henderson, Nevada, is I can talk to a repeater. So here I am talking through a repeater, which actually talks through the internet. I could talk around the world if I want to. So if the internet's available, you can use this little tiny thing that Michelle has in her hand and talk to people around the world. I've talked to people this morning in Scotland, okay?
Oh, really?
Yes, MM0RAM. David, he's a friend.
Oh.
He called out and I thought, David, it's been a long time. Only been a month. But anyway, so I talked with him and other people I've talked with in Australia by the same means. If the internet is down, well, then you got to go through a more direct means of communication. Okay. Anyway, so though it is possible, and these are some of the ways that we use in ham radio to talk through the internet. If you want to go directly without going through any kind of repeaters and such, okay, they do require line of sight for these little radios here. If you want to go lower frequency, what we call actually HF, then you don't require any infrastructure, but HF does require a general license. So the 3 license categories are the lowest entry level is technician, then it goes general, and then extra.
I thought the highest was amateur.
It's called amateur extra.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you're right, Jerem.
So is there a difference between these handheld ones and just the walkie-talkie then?
So a regular walkie-talkie you buy at like Costco and so forth, they use different frequencies, but essentially they're much lower power. Okay, these are higher power things, so of course they'll eat up your battery faster. But also those do not require a license unless you're using a GMRS frequency. These definitely require a license.
So what's the range of these ones then?
Well, either across town or around the world.
If you can get it to a repeater.
So I can get to a repeater with this little guy here, probably 40, 50 miles away. And it depends on where the repeater is too. If it's on the ground, probably only about 10 miles. If it's up in the mountain, which a lot of them are, 40, 50 miles.
Or a satellite from
Or,
or the beach in California to Hawaii.
yeah, hundreds of miles away on a satellite, from the ground to the satellite. Yeah, Corvallis?
Where's our closest repeater here?
Sorry.
Well, it's line of sight with the handheld units, and the distance varies, you said, from 10 to 40 miles, depending on where the other guy's located.
And terrain too. If you got a lot of hills between you, then that reduces your distance too. Michelle?
Where's our closest repeater?
Well, there's a bunch of them over here on Lake Mountain.
Now, are you pointing in the right direction?
I don't know where north.
Okay, so where's Lake Mountain then?
Where's north?
West.
So that's west over here. So north is this way? No, north is that way.
Yeah.
That way.
So north is this way.
So like up on,
North.
yeah, it's kind of at an
That
angle
way's
that way.
north.
Tell me your name again.
Annette.
Annette. Okay.
Sorry.
North.
North.
All right. So yeah, it's over here.
What, so what is it like on, up by, Point of the Mountain?
There are a couple on the point of the mountain too.
That's north though.
North point of the mountain's over there. Lake Mountain is right
Oh,
directly.
Lake Mountain.
Yeah, Lake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. There are several on Lake Mountain,
okay.
and there are several on West Mountain, and there's more all over. And for where I live in Orem, okay, I can get into a lot of repeaters in Salt Lake Valley too.
Okay.
So yeah. Sorry.
Do you recommend in terms of wattage, if you're going to buy one, what do you buy?
For a handheld, you don't have a lot of choice. 5 watts is pretty much all you're going to get. Okay, but if you want to go bigger, like a mobile unit, go for 50 watts. All right. Yeah, and when you're talking on HF and going directly around the world without any repeaters and things, then you require a general license on both ends, and that's because of the frequencies that you're using. So these do not require a general license. This does. They are more expensive. Takes some getting used to because of they do what we call half duplex. On cell phone, you're just talking on a normal phone. Hey, how's it going? What do you mean I'm an idiot? Call me that again, buddy. You know. So you're just talking back and forth like normal, right? On ham radio, it's different. It's, hey, how's it going? I'm doing fine. How about you? Oh, I'm great. How about you? It drives you crazy because you got to unclick, click it, unclick, and wait for the other guy. And you go back and forth like that, okay? And that's just how ham radio is. Kind of old school, you know? But there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to get into it here. It does, like I said, it takes getting used to it. It's frequency dependent. So that's, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. And it's also atmospheric dependent. It depends on the conditions of the ionosphere, atmosphere, and so forth, and that helps you to go farther. And I can show you how to take advantage of those kinds of things to go farther all around the world. Andrew,
Yes,
can you go all the way around? And, like maybe I can talk to myself.
yes.
I can.
You could, I couldn't.
Okay. Yes. Yes, you can. You can hear it. Actually, hear an echo. It's like hello, hello. Hi. How's it going? It's like that. You can actually hear yourself echo like we call that long path. And it doesn't happen very often, and you have to wait till just the right time to get that. But it can happen. So, yeah, you can actually talk to yourself. It wasn't an enjoyable conversation at all. Corvallis, did you have your hand up? Nope, just scratching your nose. Okay. All right. So, ham radio license. Then the 3 levels, like I said, are technician, general, and extra. And you can use a technician license, though, to do just about anything you need for preparation. My wife is a technician licensee. She does magical things with her license, okay? I mean, whenever we have a drill or a prep meeting or whatever we set up for that requires radio, she is the first one to grab her battery and her antenna. She throws it in her truck, goes out to the church building. She's the first one setting up her little table there. She's got the thing going, and she's on the air. And people are going, the drill only started 2 minutes ago. How are you already ready, you know? And she's just magical that way. She's really good. But that's all she wants to do is just, be preparedness. And she uses her technician license to the full extent that way. And she's already contacting people in St. George through the internet, the Intermountain Intertie, another repeater system, and connecting with them to make sure that they're okay, we're in contact, and that we have a connection down to St. George and people, blah, 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 blah. And she just does all this crazy stuff, and she's very, very smart. That's not why I married her, but that's a good reason. Anyway, so
That's a better reason.
yeah. But yeah, a general license is required for direct worldwide communication, as I mentioned. So I encourage you, once you get licensed, to please look into get a general license if you want to go directly around the world. So the exam itself has to be taken in an authorized testing center. Now, that means you have to go someplace to actually take the exam. There is an exception. You can actually take it in your bathroom. And what I mean by that is, well, that's the truth. So they have a remote exam session that you can do, but it has to be taken in a room in your house that no one can be there with you. The restroom is like the place people choose to do it, because you have to have your laptop and your cell phone, and these people have to be looking at you the whole time you're taking an exam. It's really creepy, okay? But you're doing this and while you're taking the exam, and it works. And a lot of people do it that way in their bathroom. But yeah, otherwise, take it at a testing center, and we
Pretty
have.
hard cheating there.
It is. That's the whole point.
That's all.
So, but we have testing centers that are in Provo and Eagle Mountain, and they have had them in Lehi occasionally, but anymore I don't know of any in Lehi. But I am an examiner, and I usually do the ones in Provo. So, with them. At any rate, $35 for the exam, and you have to renew it every 10 years. And you never need to retest for your exam. Once you take the test, you're done for life. Just renew it every 10 years, you're good to go. 432 questions are in the pool, but fortunately, you only have to be faced with 35 of those questions at random, and you got to get 26 of them to pass. And that's pretty much it there, see? Your license will show up in a couple of weeks, and you're good to go. Once you get licensed, though, don't stop there. It's not like a cell phone. Again, when you get your cell phone, okay, you pick that thing up, and it's like, okay, I've got this thing. I made a couple of numbers, my contacts, put it away, I'm good, right? With ham radio, you need to practice. It takes work to actually do ham radio, okay? Get a handheld antenna, practice getting on the air, join a local net. There are nets all over our valley here. And the net is simply, not this a net, but it's an on-air gathering of people. There's a person who's a net control that will call for the net and he'll say, hey, this is such and such, I'm starting this net, blah, 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 blah. Anyone who wants to check in, and you check in with that person and you talk and whatever, and they'll tell you what to do. So anyway, I encourage that because it simply gets you on the air, you're practicing your radio, and every week just talk and get on with the net.
I don't have a radio.
We can fix that.
You have to get a license for the radio.
All right. And at this point, once you pass your exam, what you need most is not equipment. People always talk, what kind of radio should I get? What kind of antenna? What kind of this? Okay, we can get you the very, very basic things, okay? I can help you know how to get these things. But what you need is experience. That's what you need most of all. Practice. That's what you have to have. And consider getting another for your Go Kit, for instance. And at the end of your license, too, go visit my website at noji.com/newham, and it can answer any question that you possibly can think of. And if you think of a different question I haven't thought of on this website, tell me so I can put it on there. But anyway, please use that. Now, we need your help. Believe it or
Go
not.
back, I want to see your. Thank you.
If you lose sight of this website or whatever, you can feel free to text me or come to my email address. You can email me. I'll give you all the information you want. I'm not a scary guy
Okay.
on Saturdays. So, yeah, feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to help you out. But we need people to help out. This is where you come in, people who are interested in preparation and in self-reliance, okay? If you're retired especially, your services are in demand because oftentimes people are needed to monitor what's going on, listen for people who are calling out saying, I need some help, or, you know, what are the road conditions up ahead, or whatever, okay? I lost cell service, I gotta have this. You could be part of the solution. Monitor and relay for help, and be a friend. And that's it. So, if you need to get a hold of me, please, or want to get a hold of me, feel free to contact me anytime.
So,
Sure.
I guess scenario-wise, like, I have family in, like, Idaho Falls.
Good.
Right? So if I wanted to have a communication link with them, if I had a handheld radio and someone in my family on that side had a handheld radio, like we'd be able to make that connection fine, or?
Fine.
You'd have to use a repeater, but yeah.
So, yeah, well,
Let me see your radio.
there's repeaters set up though, right?
There are. Yep.
So we just need the handheld and know how to obviously make the connection, but
That's right.
we'd be able to do that.
Well, let's find out. Knock it off. That's good, he stopped. Let's see. I don't know if I can get out of this building because it's, if you ever saw a church building get built, okay, some of them are built with wooden studs, some of them with steel studs. If this has steel studs, we're hosed. But, and this tiny stubby antenna, KN0JI. Anybody out there from Idaho Falls? Oh, I got the repeater, so it answered back.
I'm in Idaho Falls, and you're really scratchy. WA7 MTR mobile.
WA7MTR, very good. Well, thank you very much. This is Noji, KN0JI. Appreciate you answering back, and sorry for my scratchiness. 7-3, sir.
Okay, you are not copyable. Not copyable. Too scratchy. WA7 FDR, Idaho Falls.
Okay, thank you, KN0JI. So I moved over here just a few inches. So the answer then was yes.
How many people, do they have a number of like how many people are using ham radios?
Are using? What do you mean by using?
Or maybe licensed?
Yes, there. So if you go to,
Do they have any idea of how many active users there are?
no, it's hard to know what active means. You know, like you know, is it that they're using it daily, using it once a year? What does that
How many
mean?
people are online,
So,
like at a average, you know, on average?
Yeah, it's really hard to know. I mean, in any one day, like in Orem, 15 people can be on, or 500. You just never know. Okay, it's very random. We tend to find that on weekends more people are on the radio than on weekdays because they got to work, right? School. So no, it's hard to tell.
I was just gonna say there's nets, those nets that he talked about,
Yeah.
that are like once a week. And that's basically most people are just like on once a week.
That's true. On the 7/6ers net, for instance, on the 14676 repeater, we can get 200 people. Okay, so it depends. Yeah, and maybe you get one day when just no one's listening at all, or at least they're listening, but they're too chicken to call in, because when they first get their license, just a sec. They should give you a clock in here, you know.
It's 53. Just
Thank
turned
you.
53.
So when people first get their license, this is what they do when they get on the radio. They choke. They're scared, you know, because for the first time it's real. It's actually using a federal license, okay? And it's like, what if I make a mistake? What if someone chews me out? Okay, so, you know,
I just didn't want to feel dumb.
and people just don't want to feel dumb. Yeah. Am I going to say the thing that's going to make me sound like an idiot?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the answer is yes. Of course you will. Okay, and we all do. That's okay. It's par for the course. Okay, but that's why we practice, because we will sound like an idiot, and it's okay to sound like an idiot.
And there's, Lehi will have, like, if they had like a, let's say a 5K run and they needed community, they just ask for volunteers and you could go volunteer and learn practice.
Yeah, I've heard about that with the big 100-mile race over
Just
the water.
Yes.
anything, you know.
Oh, there's a whole mess of them.
Yeah, you can do lots of things to help with practice.
So how much is like a handheld like that?
This one cost me $26. The one that Andrew has cost me $30. So that's more expensive. They're exactly the same radio.
And I got a pack of 2 for
Yeah, you can. They're pretty cheap.
The antenna, I guess. You
$35.
got
No,
an extra
you have to
antenna.
buy a
Yeah.
better antenna.
Yeah, when I get one of these things, I just typically take one of these things and I just throw away the antenna.
So the,
But I kept this one for the class. See?
so the antenna is probably what, another 20 bucks or something?
So the signal stick antenna, which is the best one, okay, that I recommend, it's 20 bucks. You're right on the money. Almost as much as a radio. Most of them, like the Nagoyas, are about $8. Okay, so yeah, they vary.
Yeah.
What is it you recommend?
So
If you're gonna buy one, what do you recommend?
that's a good question. The answer to that is that you need to email me so we can talk about where you live, what your needs are, what you plan on doing with it, and so forth. Because what I recommend is going to depend on what you need it for. I like these radios a lot. These are Baofangs, but they're limited. They do certain kinds of things that are good sometimes. Sometimes they have limited range and such. I've got another one here that's a Yaesu. That's much better quality, but it's a heck of a lot more expensive.
What is the price difference between a Yaesu and a Baofeng? Is it just one's made in Japan, the other one's made in China?
Well, that is part of it for sure. So this Yaesu is made in China. Yaesu used to always be made in Japan, but now they're all made in China. In fact, almost all radios are made in China today. Almost all the ICOMs, Kenwoods, China. But this one cost me $85. This one cost me $26. So yeah, big difference in cost, but they do exactly the same thing. I like the Baofeng a little better because it's got dual watch. As you can see, it's got 2 frequencies that you can see at once.
Oh, okay.
All right. Whereas this one here, you're going to do one at a time. Well, who cares?
Is that older?
Oh no, this is newer. So why would I care if I could do 1 or 2 frequencies at the same time?
So you can switch between them quickly.
Yeah, when I'm in a situation where I need to relay, information really quickly, I can say, hang on, because these two people can't talk to each other, but I'm in the middle. I could say, hang on just a second, and switch to the other frequency, and boom, I'm going, I could do that with this one, but it takes a little longer.
Yeah.
And people are going, I'm waiting, So, yeah, that's why I like that
When
about
do you
this.
teach your next class at BYU?
I'm teaching, I don't teach at BYU anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm in the middle of a class in Orem at this point. My next Orem class begins in January. So,
Can we just finish up with you in Orem, or
sure.
Try BYU.
and then start again in January?
Yeah, you could do that. If you want to go to the Orem class,
And then I go to BYU one Saturday, and then take
That's
my
what I
license.
did.
not BYU. We don't do anything at BYU anymore.
BYU doesn't have
They
classes.
have, that's right, they kicked us out of there because they want people to pay for things, okay? We're poor folks. I mean, do I look like a rich folk? No. So we don't do anything at BYU anymore at all.
Your cheapskates.
That's right. Public Safety Class.orem.org is where you can go to sign up for the classes that I teach.
Okay.
And there are other classes too. There's a class that they're going to start in Eagle Mountain in October. But any rate, but in this county, this is what pretty much we have.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, but it's too far. I'd rather.
Sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's whatever you can do.
I thought you were more interested in time.
Well, honestly though, what you'll find out on the very first day that I teach the class that you don't need me, okay? Because I show you how you can do the study on your own effectively and quickly, and I'm just there for comic relief.
No, he's not.
I need to explain.
Lots
I'm
of-
trying
yes,
to
that's-
read.
And that's what I'm there
woman,
for.
My mind
Yeah.
doesn't think in band waves and all that kind of stuff.
And that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, not everybody does.
See, I
you know.
don't even know the language.
You'll learn, though.
That's okay.
I got a question. I'm sorry to take up any more time, but on Monday night,
That's what I'm here for.
this Monday night, from 6 to 8, we're having a preparedness fair
Cool.
in Spanish Fork.
Nice.
And we're having our communications guys set up. And I don't know if they're gonna put one up in the tree or the flag pole, wire.
Hmm?
Anyway, if you guys can get on and talk to us, relay back to us or whatever, it would be fun.
He'd have to know what.
So who's running this, Trevor or Joanna?
It would be Keith Drixel. and
Keith? Okay,
Keith,
good.
And I'm sure that
Driscoll.
knowing Royce, he'll be there too.
Okay.
And anyway, but that's who's doing it.
Okay, well, have Keith get a hold of me. He knows how to get a hold of me.
Okay.
Royce, he refuses to have anything to do with me. So,
He is such a pain.
he is.
When
So you know him, okay.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and we could talk.
When he asked me, he goes, I know Noji. And I'm like, no, you don't. He goes, I do too, and then he starts telling me, and I said, I feel so sorry for that guy. Now I really want to meet him.
I know you do. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate you being here. So have a good time.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
It really took
thank
me to get a hold of
Oh,
you.
yeah?
Which did you have?
Anytime. Yeah. Have keys. Get hold of him. He knows me. So
Okay, and I'll
Yeah.
just, okay, I'll tell him to call and, because I would love it if you responded that night. to
I
us.
would be happy to. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Randy.
Put my phone into airplane mode, so it dropped the audio from my hearing aids.
Oh.
I wasn't hearing, but there was audio buffered in my phone.
Thanks.
And that's what came out.
Oh boy, that would be interesting. Man.
Yeah, learn not to
Thanks,
do that.
Jen.
Thank you.
Say hi to Lance.
I will. Uncle Noji.
Well, and Janine, good to see you.
How you doing, Noji?
Hey, Jim.
It doesn't matter where I park, the flight park, I can hear you guys.
Oh. Well, good.
When
You
I
mean
moved over and was pointing north,
right?
where the beam wasn't as high, and I could see it in Salt Lake Valley.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad you couldn't hear Eric last night because he was
I
booming.
barely heard him once.
Oh, okay. All right. So
But even where I moved, you're still probably around the corner from the mountain from me.
yeah, he's probably got a hill between you and him, is my guess. Because Flight Park, where it is, he's in Suncrest. So
Oh, okay, so he's
Yeah.
over and back.
exactly. Well, I'm glad you tried and got in. I love 6 meters when it works.
Thought I'd drop by and say hi.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming by. Appreciate that.
Still need to get my wife. She said she'd take the class from you.